Hi, everyone. I'm Perry Jones-Grossman, and welcome to another edition of our Summit Series, How to Heal Autoimmune Diseases Without Using Meds. And we've had some great guests. And today's guest I'm very, very excited to have is Dr. Sue Morter. And she was a guest at Sun Valley Wellness Festival a couple of years ago, and we all learned so much. She's the queen of energy, is what I call her. And she's going to be here teaching you some new ideas and some new methods that can help you in your healing process. So I'm going to do the introduction. It's another long introduction, but I want you to know who she is and what her credentials are because she's amazing. All right. So she's an international speaker, master of bioenergetic medicine, and quantum field visionary. Dr. Sue utilizes the embodiment of high-frequency energy patterns to activate full human potential. Through her seminars, retreats, and presentations, she illuminates the relationships of quantum thoughts and energy medicine, the elevation of human consciousness, and life mastery. Dr. Sue's visionary model and techniques ignite an entirely new approach to living in creative genius and personal freedom through capturing and enhancing high-frequency energy patterns in the body, and we all have them. She draws from her experience as a doctor for over 30 years, inspiration from a life-changing awakening during a meditation, and her personal passion for cracking the code of life itself. Her greatest joy is sharing her discoveries with others. And Dr. Sue is nationally published, has served on professional licensing boards, providing guidance to healthcare practitioners on integrative approaches to healthcare leadership. She's a member of the Transformational Leadership Council. In addition to her private practice, as if that wasn't enough, Morter is the health center. She's the founder and visionary of the Morter Institute, an organization committed to teaching individuals self-healing techniques and a new approach to life based on quantum science. She's also going to be releasing a new book with Simon & Schuster in the spring of 2019. So I'm going to introduce you to the energy lady, Dr. Sue.
Well, thank you very much, my dear. That's quite a lot of information. And,
I know.
The bottom line is we're interested in people learning how to heal themselves, period. That's it. And it's a great joy to be here with you. Thank you so much for putting this together and reaching out to so many people to help people change their lives.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sue. You know, it's something that autoimmunity has risen so much in the past couple of years. I mean, the numbers, over 100 million Americans, over 700 million people worldwide, and then 78% of the people that get autoimmune are women. And, it's so interesting we have you talking about energy because I remember through my diagnosis just 5 months ago with Epstein-Barr and other people that I've met, the first thing that goes is our energy. And, all the doctors tell you it's depleted. You can't do anything about it except go home, drink a lot of fluids and go from there. But you're here to talk about how we can have energy, how it actually heals us. That's my son coming in. And she liked these live.
Hello, son.
Real life.
Yeah, right.
But explain what bioenergetics is. What is that and how can that apply to our lives?
Well, sure. Actually, everything in all of creation is energy. That's it. That's the basic foundational element upon which everything sits. So something that's solid, like a desk or a computer that you could touch, is energy just compressed. And things like emotions and feelings and thoughts, those are energies that are a little more spacious and moving more easily. Water moves more easily than ice. It's all energy, but it's just in different forms of compression, different shapes and different contexts. And so we are the same thing. We are just energy compressed into a body. And these different energies are flowing through the body in different ways, in different systems of our full physicality. So our immune system functions in a certain energy frequency. Our respiratory system flows in a different energy frequency. Our digestive system flows in another frequency. So it's just these different radio stations. So bioenergetics just means now we're going to talk about the energy as it relates to the human body. Mm-hmm. And bioenergetics is a study that determines how the energy is flowing in your body, because If energy is flowing, your body is able to self-heal. If energy gets blocked or is stuck in some way, it starts to slow down the whole healing process, and everything in a domino reaction starts to break down. And we end up with, hormonal imbalances or digestive issues or toxicity in the body or inflammation in the body, or the body turns on itself and starts attacking things out of control and with no rhyme or reason. And there is some structure underneath that we can take a look at and start to shift, to change those kinds of conditions, actually pretty easily, relatively speaking, compared to the complexity of issues that it creates. If we don't, it's not that hard to create some shifts in our bodies so that the energy does begin to move and healing can happen again.
So how do we do that? I mean, how do we know, we talked about some emotional healing and some spiritual healing and all that, but how do you know that you're blocked, that you have an emotional energy block, or that you have something that's stuck inside? How do we know that?
You bet. Great question. So if you are in pain, you have energy blocked. If you're in emotional pain or physical pain or mental pain, stress, strain, if you have an unrelented thought that just keeps reoccurring in your life and you can't seem to get past it, something that you need to forgive, but you can't, if you have a pain pattern in your physicality, if you have a systemic issue like a digestive issue, a sinus, allergies, asthmas, those are all byproducts of stuck energy. Everything that happens in our lives that is not in its ideal state is representing to some degree some form of energy that is not flowing the way that it could.
Okay, so let's say we found those energy places that are stuck. Now what? How do we get unstuck?
I'm just turning something off here so we don't get interrupted again. Okay, so how do we get it unstuck if it is stuck?
Yes.
A variety of ways things that we can do. Obviously, if we decrease the toxicity levels in our body, we're going to allow the system to start functioning more efficiently. And so the body is designed to function on an alkaline basis, on a pH scale, a chemical balance scale. We're designed to be alkaline. And most of the thoughts that we think that are negative or that are worrisome or that are just, if we're in our head all the time, we're producing chemistry that's driving us down to the acidic end of that spectrum. And so it starts to cause cellular dysfunction the more acidic we are. Foods that we eat will also contribute to if we're alkaline or if we're acidic in the body. But the thoughts that we think actually eclipse the foods that we eat. So someone can eat perfectly and alkalizing only, fruits and vegetables only. They're very strict diet. They never do this. They never cheat this way. They're constantly, rigidly following this format. And if there is emotional subconscious stuff that is locked in, and we're going to talk about that, but if there is emotional unresolvedness stuck in the back of their consciousness, it will create enough acid in the system that no amount of positive alkalizing eating will change the scoop for them. It won't change their scenario because the acid that is produced by worry, fear, anxiety, grudges, angers, frustrations, anxieties, those kinds of emotional dispositions produce an acid in the system that we can't undo simply through our diet. So we have to approach both the diet and the way that we think, both consciously and subconsciously, right, if we want to open this system up and allow the energies to flow so that the body can heal. Sounds complex, but it's not that hard to do.
Well, that's an interesting fact. So you're saying that your brain can override, right, and the heart can override even some of the things that you're doing, which you think is perfect in your diet and taking care of yourself and healing and all that. If
yes, yes. Yes, and the mind-boggling thing about that is it's not just the things that we think about on a conscious level. It's stuff that we don't even know that we're upset about. We don't even think about it anymore, but it's packed back in there in a way that is creating a blockage in the flow of energy, even though it's not on our mind per se. But if you've ever noticed, if you're watching a movie and some scenario comes up, and all of a sudden you're caught up in the emotion of it and you're crying, it's pushing some buttons that you have that maybe you're not even aware that you have. Those are the things that we're going after. We want to know what are those buttons so that we don't have to avoid getting them pushed, but rather that we dissolve them in the first place so that they're not even there.
So we're really not treating the symptoms. We're really going for the root of the problem.
Well, absolutely. You know, that is the nemesis of our Western world culture. We are so symptom oriented, and we're always inventing new ways to treat the symptom: bigger, better, faster, more expensive, more elaborate. And the bottom line is, if it's not contributing to your body's ability to heal itself, it's really not going to address the issue in the long run. That's why we end up over medicated, and we end up having way too many procedures done, and we get 5-10 years down the road and we're still suffering from the same condition because we haven't addressed the cause. So this is definitely what we're interested in doing, is teaching people how to assess, find, and address the cause, and then not only heal that, but actually learn how to step into more of a proactive role, where we're not just always looking for the next thing that we have to fix and fixing it, but we're really learning how to operate as the healer within, as the creative healing essence that we're truly made of. And that's where my real work, begins with people. But I so much enjoy teaching people how to stop this runaway train of having their health spin out of control because of issues that have been stored at a subconscious level and are stuck and blocked in there. And there are things that we can do, that we can share even in our conversation now, that will allow people to start to get a feel for, how do I do that? So yes, I do have, she said, if I have pain in any way in my life, or discord or discomfort anywhere in my life, that it means that energy is blocked. So I got that. Now, what do I do?
What do we do?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
What is that first step that we do?
Yeah. So one of the first things that we have to learn to do is to not try to address it with our thinking mind. Because if our thinking mind could figure out what the problem is, it probably would have by now. You follow? Usually these issues last for months or years. Usually something comes on with someone, some kind of symptom pattern, and they deal with the symptoms for a while, then they end up going to the doctor, and the doctor runs all kinds of tests over a period of weeks, and then they end up with a diagnosis, and then several more days or weeks of consultations and figuring out what to do, and then there's some kind of externally oriented process that's applied to the situation, trying to address the symptoms. And so what we're doing is saying, let's not go that route for just a second. Let's just stop and contemplate an alternative way of addressing this. And so as we do, it isn't our thinking mind that's going to figure out the issue. I mean, we can say, yes, I'm stressed, and I know I need to not live in my head and not be so stressed, and I know I need to learn how to breathe better in my body and come down into my heart, where there's so much healing capacity in the vibrational frequencies of love, and learn how to breathe those into my body, which will activate my nervous system and calm it down. But what else can I do? Because that doesn't seem like it's significant enough. Although I will say, breathing in the belly is one of the most potent things that an individual can do in an instant to start to change how their nervous system is functioning. The nervous system basically has two divisions. One is a fight or flight, and the other is calmed healing status, creative, filtering, cleansing, detoxifying, healing status. And we spend more time in fight or flight than we do in the other. And that's why we get down the road and we haven't healed things along the way. Right. So was there something you were wanting to say?
I got so excited when you talked about the belly breathing, because I'm doing your online course right now.
Ah, yes.
So I've been practicing the belly breathing and doing that for myself. And I've actually had a couple clients, college age, and one was a high school girl, that just teaching her those techniques. And been practicing a lot of the I call it the Buddha belly.
Buddha belly breathing. That's it. Yes.
Buddha belly. But I know that's a powerful technique that you teach. And
yes. So we'll do some of that. Okay. We have time to do some of that.
Of course we do.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. There's that. And then there's something I want to add on to that, to really allow people to start to get a real handle on, how do I start to move in a different direction? So yes, first and foremost, let's learn to breathe in the belly, not in the upper lobes of the lungs. If we breathe up here in the upper lobes of the lungs, we are actually activating the part of the nervous system that is activated if a bear comes charging into the room and we are in these upper lobes, fight or flight mode. It activates that response in the nervous system. It's the sympathetic nervous system that is just fight or flight. And if we breathe down in the lower lobes of the lungs, which is enhanced by belly breathing, what happens is we activate the parts of the nervous system that are responsible for healing, filtering, cleansing, digesting, relaxing, repairing. Very, very important. So when you breathe, you should never see your shoulders move. So if I breathe the wrong way, here's how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
If I breathe the correct way, it's all below the diaphragm. You can't even see it from what we're doing here. But when I inhale, my belly's coming forward. And when I exhale, my belly's coming back to the spine. And then I inhale, my belly is getting big like the Buddha belly. Big Buddha belly. You have permission for your belly to fall over your belt right now and just hang out. Yeah, it's awesome. And then exhale, it automatically squeezes those muscles back toward the spine. By doing that, it draws the breath down to the lower lobes of the lungs with each inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale like that, so that we're automatically activating the part of the nervous system that knows how to do the healing. So even if we were stuck in some pattern, just by regularly, every day, constantly, make every breath be a belly breath, what begins to happen is we open up the trap door that got slammed shut when too many stresses came by at the same time, short-circuited the nervous system and got it locked in that emergency fight or flight mode. So we're starting to pry that open with each breath and allow communication to happen in the body, so that when you think thoughts like, I just want to relax. I'm just here right now. I'm on vacation. I'm just going to sit down with a book for a moment. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to kick out and just relax. Your body actually gets the message that that's what you're doing. But if that trap door is slammed shut, you go on vacation and your body never gets the good news that that's what's happening. It's still in there doing the fight or flight thing, because the last message that got through before that trap door slammed shut was emergency. So the body's doing the best it can. That's why it's not healing. It's why it's creating inflammation, because it thinks it's under attack, and so it's going about it. So when we have autoimmune conditions, it is 100% a result of what I'm talking about. The body thinks it's under attack, and so it's fighting back and fighting back and fighting back so consistently for such a long period of time. It's creating so much inflammation that cells are starting to just implode due to the acidic condition that's being created because of the anxiousness that is locked into the system, which is an appropriate state when there's actually a bear chasing you, but it's an inappropriate state when you're on vacation or when you're just driving to work or you're minding your own business. The system is supposed to chill and come down out of that. And if it doesn't get the message to do that, it won't. Pardon?
I said, you almost have to give yourself, your body, permission to do that. And it
yes.
needs some kind of alert system to say, okay, we can relax now. And that's what the belly breathing does.
You bet. It's not a conscious permission. It's a physiological signal that the body can respond to. That's the key, because it's not our conscious mind that keeps our heart beating. It's not our conscious mind that has us digesting lunch. It's not our conscious mind that controls our blood calcium levels or the degree of inflammation in our body. It's the subconscious. So we have to get to the subconscious level of the nervous system and work in order to get it to flip on the switch for healing. It's not just a conscious decision. The conscious mind can facilitate the process, but it can't do it 100%. Otherwise, we would all just consciously decide to be healthy, wealthy, and, you know, living on an island somewhere, right?
Right. So what are some other things that,
so it's the subconscious,
that we know how to, that we can learn how to unlock the subconscious? Because that's an interesting part.
You bet.
I mean,
yeah.
I know when I finally went down with mine was a huge emotional situation, bad breakup, bad energy, and it was just the perfect storm, you know, along with bad diet and some things, traveling too much, working too much, and it was just boom, this is it, we're done. And I didn't realize that, though, Dr. Sue, that the emotional part until about a month ago, and had to do some work on that and had to bring that up you know, from the subconscious through dreams, through writing, through a lot of things, just, you know, just being aware of it, that it comes up.
Yeah.
But what are some of
Yes.
the other tools that you recommend that we do for that?
Yeah. So one, you know, there are so many things we could go into right now. I'm actually kind of shifting a little bit of, I want to add this in,
Okay.
that I hadn't thought of prior to, you know, what we're talking about right now, to discuss in our conversation today. But there is something that our culture really needs to learn how to do, and that is to stop ruling out certain emotional experiences as possibly beneficial. Like we judge certain emotional states as good or bad, and we decide we only want to have this kind and we don't want to have that kind. And so we constantly live to keep ourselves away from the kind of emotional states that we don't want to have.
Right.
And one of the things that I do when I'm working deeply with a group of people is really teaching them to become unprejudiced about all of the emotional experiences that they are having, to become non-judgmental about them. So that if you are anxious, or if you are afraid, or you are angry, that you provide the space inside your own body for that to be okay, to allow and accept and embrace what is actually being experienced is one of the most wholesome and healthy and holistic things that we can possibly do. Because if we can provide the space where it's okay to have anger, and it's okay to experience fear, and we're not jumping into it or running away from it or biting into it and making a bigger deal out of it, but we're just holding the space for that to be happening in here and breathing in the belly while we're doing it, what begins to happen is those emotional energies begin to become part of a flow that's flowing through the body. And I'm going to teach us how to do that flow, but they become part of the flow instead of something to work around or to avoid or to outrun. And because if there is something that we're trying to avoid or outrun or work around, we're always in a little bit of a subconscious fearful state that it's going to come back again, and it's going to catch me when I'm off guard, and it's going to get the best of me, etc. But if we changed our whole disposition about it in the first place, so that when it did happen, we weren't afraid of fear, we weren't afraid of anger, we weren't rejecting of anger, but we were really embracing and accepting and breathing through the belly and breathing up and down through a system of bioenergetics in our body. If we could do that, then it doesn't become an interference in our system, and it doesn't block the energy when it starts to build. Because when we step around it, it just keeps getting layered on top of and gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's too big to avoid. And that's when it flattens us, and that's similar to what you've been through, what we've been through before, right? So myself included, I've been there. So let's establish a way of being with all of our emotional states that is welcoming and is embracing and is loving and kind and guiding and strong and clear and wise. Those kinds of energies that we would have loved someone to step up when we were 5 and 10 and 15 and 22 and experiencing those things for the first time. And we didn't know what to do with them. So we just shoved them away and went out and played and got on with it. You know, picked ourselves up by the bootstraps and did the best we could.
Right.
But it gets stuck in there. So let's provide that for ourselves and breathe. So here's how to breathe in such a way that allows the bioenergetic flow to maintain its flow in a healing manner. So it flows vertically in your body. It comes in through the body, comes into the core of the body, and then it runs down through the body, all the way through the body into the earth. And then it hits the earth, and it turns, and it comes back up through the body, and it rises all the way up, and we exhale out the top of the head. And then the energy cycles back around and does all kinds of other things that we don't really need to talk about in this moment. But there's so much wonderful stuff to know about what we can do to master this energy flow. So here's what we do. From above your head, about the distance, if you reached your hand straight up and snapped your fingers up there, from that spot right about there, you're going to take a breath and imagine that you're breathing in through the top of your head. And you're breathing right down through the center of your brain and through the center of your throat, right into your heart space, with their belly. Breathe with your belly and draw this energy down into the belly. And then exhale from the belly down into the earth about that same distance underneath where you sit. Just imagine that this is happening. Now take a breath from 2 feet underneath where you sit into the earth and breathe up through the pelvis, through the belly, right into this heart space again. And then exhale that energy right up through the throat and through the center of your brain and through the top of the head and out the top. And then inhale again from overhead. Breathe it all the way to the heart. Big belly. And now exhale, squeeze the belly back towards your spine. And exhale, shoot that breath right down into the earth from where you're sitting. And then take an inhale up from the earth right into the belly again and just repeat. And this cycle is called a central channel breath. Belly breathing through the central channel of your body, which is a measurable energetic vortex that runs through the center of the body. Breathing through that enhances the flow of the natural bioenergetic energies that are here as a healer and an integrator for all parts of your consciousness and all parts of your body to start to work together in a unified fashion in which we are able to heal faster. Okay, so there's that. And then if we have a moment, I want to add some more to that.
Yes, no, all I was just saying is I could see how, oh, my dogs are now coming in. Everybody's coming. It's that beautiful.
Awesome. They want to be a part of the party.
They want to be part of the conversation. I think they just want to be fed. Okay, just hang right here. You can watch mommy breathe. What hit me as I was doing that is that, because I was told that the viruses usually start in the back, right? In your central nervous system. And
yes.
So it seems like what I was picturing was my central nervous system just being healed with that breath.
You bet. You bet. We have to remember that a virus is an opportunist.
Yes.
It does not create the environment that it needs in order to move in. A virus can only move into an environment that already exists that it can survive in. Oh. And a virus can only exist in an acidic environment. Okay? So we have to alkalize our body. We're going to do so by breathing healing energy through it, by doing what I'm going to teach us next, and also by addressing our nutritional intake. Fruits and vegetables are the alkalizers. Everything else is an acidifier to some degree. So we're trying to do everything that we can do to create an alkaline environment in our body. Okay? So unresolved emotional stuff is one of the #1 causes of too much acid in the system, which drives the chemistry down to where a virus can move in and have a heyday. If we raise that vibrational frequency, the virus can't survive there and it'll go somewhere else where it can. That's how it works. Okay? Bacteria, virus, fungus, it's all the same. It all is impacted at somewhere on this scale like we're describing. So yes, when you're breathing up and down through this central channel, you bet you are soothing the central nervous system, the spinal cord and the brain, the primitive brain and the high brain centers where you do all of your creative, innovative processing. All of your healing happens within that central nervous system and infuses out into the body. So I want us to have just a moment to speak about how do we unpack some of the emotional stuff that's stuck in there that's making the energy get blocked so that it can't flow up and down through this channel the way that it's designed. And here is something that is so helpful if you'll just learn how to do this. First of all, let's contract the muscles at the base of the pelvic floor. The base of the pelvic bowl, it's like a Kegel exercise. Contract the muscles. It's the same thing. If you don't know about a Kegel exercise, it's the same thing as if you were going to the bathroom and you had to stop the stream quickly, you would contract certain muscles to do that and kind of lift them up toward your heart. That's what we're talking about. That anchors us down in the body instead of letting us get caught up in our head. And that alone is going to help us to breathe healing energy down into the body differently than just through the central channel. So if you contract those muscles at the base of the pelvic bowl and breathe up and down this central channel, you're going to be doubling up your capacity to shift this energy even faster.
Wow.
And the
next, like grounding.
It's definitely a grounding exercise.
Okay.
And the more grounded we are and living in our body, the stronger the body can heal. You are the healer. And if you're not living in your body, you can't heal the body. So we have to get down in the body so that the body can start to heal. We can't heal the body from our head. We have to get down in there, because you are the spirit, the essence, the soulful self that is the healer within, that we're constantly teaching and talking and hearing about. You are that. So we have to get in the body if we want to heal the body. So here's how we get access to emotional residue that could be keeping us from being able to self-heal. The next time you think a thought that is upsetting to you or that is stressful to you, I want you to ask yourself, where in my body is there an activation when I think that thought? Where in my body is there a charge? Is it a knot in my stomach, tightness in my chest, a lump in my throat, a pain in my neck? Something will happen. If you start to dial in your awareness to that, something will reveal itself to you. It's constantly trying to reveal to the mind what the mind needs to do differently to help the body heal. Okay. Mind, body, breath working together is how this is going to work. So you ask where. Let's say it gave you a knot in the stomach. Here's the invitation. Squeeze it back. Let it know that your mind is onto what the body is trying to reveal about how to heal. Because the wisdom is in there. It's in there. And we've been overlooking it because we're so busy figuring out what's wrong and what we should take or what we should do to fix it.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
So now you hug it back. You squeeze it back. So I'm squeezing these muscles in my belly. And then I'm going to squeeze those muscles at the base of the pelvic bowl. And at first, it's going to feel like, how do I do that? But you start practicing this, and within 3 days, you're going to have an ability to do this. It's amazing how the body will build its ability, just like riding a bicycle or anything else that we've learned to do. Sure. So you're anchoring down in the body. You're squeezing your gut or your chest or your throat, whatever it is that had a charge in it when you had that emotional upset. And now you're just going to start breathing up and down that central channel with an emphasis on this area where the charge hit you during that emotional upsetting moment. Because the reason it's upsetting to you is because you don't have enough neurocircuitry in place to keep this flow flowing. You don't have enough electromagnetic circuitry and nervous system circuitry to keep the flow flowing. So it can't. So it gathers as a lump in your throat or a knot in your stomach or tightness in your chest or back pain or whatever the case may be. Sure. So you squeeze it back and you let it know, I'm onto this. This isn't going to get the best of me this time. I'm going to work and collaborate with all of these elements and make this work to my advantage. So I start squeezing it back and start breathing loving presence. Just breathe your loving presence up and down this channel, just like you're going in an elevator and you're descending down through the body, and specifically right through that area that had a charge to it, and all the way down to 2 feet beneath where you sit, and then breathe back up through the channel to 2 feet above your head, and then back down through the channel with a special emphasis on this area that's talking to you, and all the way to 2 feet beneath where you sit. And you continue to repeat that with as much love mustered as you can find. You just practice it all the time. Every spare moment, practice it when you're falling asleep, practice it when you wake up in the morning before your feet hit the floor. And what you will begin to do is unpack emotional stuff where it gets caught that is keeping the energy from flowing. You can also think about symptoms that you have and ask, where in my body could I drop in and do this exact same thing as it relates to this symptom? So let's say you have no energy. Right. So you ask, where in the body could I build more circuits so that I could experience more energy? And for some reason, your mind is going to go right here, or your mind is going to go right here, or it's going to go here. Somewhere, your mind is going to drop, or you're going to feel something somewhere in your body. Either one is the clue. Your mind will just go to your heart, and you don't know why. Or it'll go to your solar plexus. You don't even know why. It goes to your gut. You don't know why. You just squeeze it back, and you let it know, I'm trusting this. I'm moving in and going to take care of myself and start to mend some things together that never got to weave themselves together because I was so busy darting off and avoiding things and working around them and compensating that I didn't really establish this contiguous integrated version of the healer within. And so you can think about a symptom pattern. It's going to take you somewhere. You squeeze it back and you start breathing up and down through the channel so that you start moving the energy in a continuous fashion. And all of a sudden, your nervous system is going to get more of a signal that all is well, and it's going to start dropping into healing, rejuvenation, replenishing mode. And the next thing you know, you're going to have more energy when you are going through your day, day after day after day, because your system is designed to be self-healing. And we're establishing a way that it can return to that ability to generate self-healing energies all the time, constantly.
Those are two really powerful tools to use, and you can use them. I mean, even if you are, if you guys are laying in bed and you can't move and you can't walk, I mean, these are breathing exercises that we can do right where we are. And it's something that, even if it's just a little something you can do, you know, just a little bit, just starting it out that way, right? And then it'll,
Yes.
I mean, more and more as you practice it, but
Yes.
yeah.
Even just the belly breathing. If that's all, you know, we're adding all these things onto that, but let's just go back to where we started.
Yeah.
You just belly breathe and things are going to change. And then you add on this central channel breathing, and then you add on squeezing this mula bandha, maybe even hugging your heart on the inside and finding your coordinates up and down inside the body through this elevator shaft. And one by one, you add these things on until you're cultivating this presence in the body. And when you're present in the body, you start to heal in a way that no one taught us, but the indigenous cultures knew it, and that's how they maintained their vitality and their connection to the earth and to nature and self-healing, because they operated as nature, and they used these kinds of processes to remain in that connected state.
That's so powerful. Is that what we just went through? Is that what you speak about and teach about, the energy codes?
Yes, there's so much more to teach about it, and the energy codes and the book that's coming out on March 19th, called The Energy Codes with Simon & Schuster, which you can get on Amazon. You can go you know, to Barnes & Noble online and get it. You can even pre-order it. There are so many techniques that add on to this, but they don't get complex. They're just different ways to approach different kinds of issues that are happening in our lives for healing, and for ultimately moving beyond healing and really focusing on accessing our true purpose, the true power of who we are and what we are, accessing our magnificence. And when we start to turn that on, healing happens as a byproduct automatically. So I'm really interested in people learning how to focus that way, so that we're not just stuck waiting for the next thing to go wrong and then hopefully knowing a technique to heal it. Rather, moving forward in such a fashion that the body isn't breaking down anymore, because we're learning how to live inside of it and keep it vital and robust and animated and flexible and pliable and self-healing. It's designed to do that. So I feel younger than I did 10 years ago. And it's because of doing these practices. And so that's what I've put together in the book.
That's amazing. Well, is there anything else, Dr. Sue, that you can think of that is coming forward for you to share with our audience that is an important, you know, tool or another gem, or just something that you want to leave them thinking about as they're on this journey of healing?
You bet. One of the things that I teach in my live workshops all over the world is that I introduce this idea that there is nothing broken, there is nothing wrong, there is nothing missing. You are whole and complete. And if you're not experiencing your wholeness and your completeness and your robust, vital health, there's a reason. And it's just a circuitry issue. You just haven't built the circuits to be able to allow the energies to flow and for you to be tapped in and living from inside this system that is so beautifully orchestrated for a robust, long, healthy, vital life. And so to recognize there's nothing wrong, there's nothing broken, there is nothing missing, is a huge step in the right direction. That if something's not working right, if there's nothing wrong with me, I don't have to be afraid. I just have to come inside and find where the energy isn't flowing and learn all kinds of ways to get it flowing again. And anyone can learn this. It isn't just for, you know, someone who's deep in some spiritual study or deep in practices of yoga or meditation, etc. It is accessible to everyone. Everyone can learn to do this. And it's
I
so
love it.
important that we
And
realize that.
it's not expensive. I mean,
And it's not, your breath is free.
yeah, I'm telling you, your breath is free, and what I love about your website too, your website is one of the best websites I've seen.
Oh, thank you.
Really
Thank you. We love it and are updating it all the time and bringing more things in. We have lots of new programs that'll be coming out after the book launch and all kinds of self-healing things that people can get plugged into. So thank you for saying that.
Yes, no, and I was going to tell you guys to go to Dr. Sue's website because she has guided meditations on there for you. There's some courses that you could take right in the comfort of your own home. Of course, she has some beautiful retreats that are going on and workshops. I mean, it's loaded with all kinds of self-healing and the breathing information. I mean, you can learn it just, right at home. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And that's the whole purpose of this summit series is I'm bringing the doctors to you. You don't have to pay to see this, right?
Right. It's brilliant.
It's really true. We're
Yeah.
bringing it right to them so that, and then they have access through, wonderful technology through our websites that they can get a lot of information. There's no excuse to accept anything less than abundant health and beautiful energy and a beautiful life, because you're still breathing. That still means that God has a purpose for your life while you're still here, right?
Yes, exactly.
Vessel health.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Sometimes we learn the most about ourselves when we're in these states where we feel really compromised or we feel, kind of downtrodden and our health isn't kicking back like it used to, and we don't have the vital force to move forward that we used to, or the stamina. Then it even leads to not feeling inspired and not feeling like you even can engage in life the way that you used to or the way that you love to. And it's just so important that we realize that that's just a domino reaction that you're in. It's not that you're getting old. It's not that it's over for you. It's not that you're one of the unlucky ones that's just going to be, riddled with these kinds of issues for the rest of your life. It's a circuitry issue. The circuits are not connected. And all we have to do is get them connected so that the energy can flow again. And it's so important that we have faith in that and that we trust that it can happen for me too. So that we don't exclude ourselves from that possibility. Because when the mind shuts down on those possibilities, it starts to create a different reality than the one that is destined for you. And it has the power to lock out possibility, but it also has the power to welcome it back again. And so if you take the mind and connect it to your heart, connect it to your breath, and start breathing up and down this channel and come inside this elevator shaft and drop in for yourself, you will, little by little, it seems so simple that it couldn't possibly change my life, but I get emails every day about people's lives that have changed, where they had no more hope, where they're totally confused and disoriented and disgruntled about all the processes that they're in and all the doctors that they've seen, and they're still not any better. And they do these simple practices one by one, addressing everything that they can regarding alkalizing the body, activating the healing mode by breathing in the belly, activating the ability to build these circuits and remove or dissolve these unresolved emotional issues and work with this. And their lives are changing. Their relationships are healing. Their bodies are healing. They feel vital and optimistic again in life. And I just want you to know that I've worked with so many people that have been in a very bad way, and meaning, serious diagnoses where they were not expected to be here much longer, that are now in thriving lives and having vital experiences and going on vacations and having a life again. And it can happen for you too. It is so important that you do not give up.
Yes, keep that hope. I'm so appreciative. Thank you for taking some time out and being with us and sharing these important healing aspects that, sometimes we overlook some of the simple ones. Breathing.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
thank you for bringing us back to that reminder. And you guys check out her website. It is chock full of information. It's wonderful. And then you also have a free gift that I know you were talking about doing. You want to tell the viewers what that is?
Yes, there is a simple digital product. It's like the equivalent of mini CDs, like 4 CDs. It's information that is called Fear into Fire. So it's about taking your fears and that energy and turning it into an energy that fuels you instead of, instead of compresses you and collapses you. And it talks about the things that we've been talking about here, goes into them in more detail in a variety of different scenarios. It's been a favorite in our community. People loving the information on it. I get emails about that as well all the time, about how it has been so beneficial. And there also is a meditation that comes with that you'll be able to do, a separate product, but also a meditation that will allow you to just have this experience of the essential self deep in the core of your being. There's one for the morning and one for the evening, so that you set your intentions and move through the day, and then you bring yourself to a close in a particular fashion as well, all of which is supporting this very practices that we've been talking about today.
I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank you all again for watching another segment of the Summit Series. And we hope, and I know that you've learned so much with Dr. Sue. Don't forget to come back a couple other days. We have some more information for you to get you healing and feeling better again. You deserve it. Take care. Bye.